Hi guys, my name is Johnny G and I'm going to do a video today about scary stories that I found in some forums. So I'm going to read you some of these stories. Make sure you're in a dark room with your blanket hiding. This one's going to be very scary, so get ready guys. And if you really like this video, you want a second part of this video, make sure you like and subscribe and comment below. Alright guys, let's get this started. Alright, so the first story that I want to talk about is called The Red-Eyed Girl by Just Me. So I'm going to be reading off the screen, so if you see me looking away, it's because I'm reading the story. So let's get this started. So I was probably about 8 or 9 when this happened. This was a while ago, so some of the details are a little foggy. I was going to the library with my best friend, let's call her Bella. We were walking through an alley to get to it. There were a lot of sketchy looking houses and creepy people watching us as we walked past. We were with our parents, so not much could happen, but I still got chills. We quickly passed through and entered the library. I still had the creepy feeling and couldn't shake it. I love reading, so for me to be uncomfortable in the library was weird, and Bella noticed immediately and started shooting glances at me. After a while, she asked what was wrong, and I just told her I had gotten a bad vibe from the alley. She seemed to understand and left me alone after that. A little while later, we left the library, and I had all but forgotten the feeling. Then Bella brought up a ghost story. She asked if I wanted to hear one, and me, not wanting to seem like a wimp, agreed. So she told me about a little girl that hunted one of the houses in the alley. She said that she had red eyes, claws and was our age. She told me that something bad had happened to her, and she was forever haunting the alley. Specifically, one house. We were walking down the alley now, and I was getting chills again. I told her to stop joking, and she said she wasn't. She then pointed to a house with a steep staircase and rickety doors. She's being the attention-seeking child, pretended to be able to see the ghost. But I knew she was joking. It wasn't until I actually looked at the door that I knew she was lying. I looked at the door and saw a fainted outline of a girl. She was wearing a white dress, had long hair, and red eyes. She stared directly at me and looked at her hands. Long claws like nails protrude from them. I found an increased amount of dread build upon me. I shivered and knew Bella was faking, because she was smiling and laughing at me. The little girl suddenly smiled wickedly and lunged. Before she could reach me though, she vanished and I ran out of the alley. To this date, I don't know if it was my wild imagination or something else. I haven't told anyone about it, but I'm occasionally plagued by dreams of a little girl. I found out about a year ago that the little girl had been murdered in that house, but they never found the killer. I have not set foot in that alley since. Girl, I would have run out of there in 3 seconds.
Hell no, no, to the no, no, hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no.
Alright, so the next story I want to talk about is called It Wasn't Me by Nini D123. So let's get this started. So I never have this type of occurrences, never believed in this weird shit. My grandparents' house was always creepy to me just because it was old. I had just moved into the house about 3 months prior. No, this was 5 years ago. So my dad had passed away a couple of months before this, and only my mother and I lived upstairs. It was almost like an apartment upstairs, had a kitchen and everything. Anyway, when I was lying in the bed one morning, I opened my eyes, stared at the painting of the vase with flowers on my left, stared at the ceiling, stared at my mom sleeping next to me on her side in her white t-shirt through the corner of my eye. Not wanting to wake her up, I could see her breathing soft breath in and out. I turned back to face the painting and slept. When I woke up, my mom had gone. So I made my way downstairs for some breakfast. I asked my mom why she came and slept in my bed. Usually I am the one who goes into her bed if I am thinking about how I lost my father. I also asked her why she changed her clothes into different pajamas. She looked at me, a little puzzled, and said, "Oh yes, I couldn't sleep. I ignored the whole thing." A week went by, and my mother and aunt were staring at me, whispering to each other and giving weird looks. I asked them what's up, and my aunt said, "Does your mom always sleep next to you?" I immediately understood what they were talking about. I said, "Mom, it wasn't you sleeping next to me that morning, wasn't it?" She just looked at me, not knowing what to say, and didn't want to worry me. I ignored the whole thing. I knew what saw was real. I remember it was 7 a.m. and I looked at my phone. My mom looked exactly how it always does. My room looked exactly how it always does. The painting was vivid. The person next to me was real. I could tell it was a female by the body shape as well as the sound of the breath that came out. Someone slept by me that day. It wasn't my father, but it was someone. That house has since been known to have all kinds of spooky occurrences that not only I have witnessed. So, if it wasn't your mother, then who was it? Mm. Alright, so the next story I want to talk about is called The Ghost I Saw on Skype. I remember a few years ago, I was video chatting on Skype with one of my friends. Everything was normal for the most part. After about 20 minutes of chatting, my friend excused herself to go grab a snack. I just sat there, intently waiting for her return. I could hear a few noises, just basic background noise, her parent talking, dishes moving, and her voice. They were distant, but I could hear them. After about 1 minute, I heard what sounded like a small child crying. It was unsettling and confusing for two reasons. One, my friend didn't have any younger siblings, and two, my baby brother was with my mom. When she returned, I asked her about it. She was caught off guard and froze for a second. "You hear it too?" she asked. "Yes, I hear a child crying," I responded. "Do you believe in ghosts?" she asked. "Yeah, why?" I replied. "Tell me what you see." She then proceeded to turn the webcam towards her window by the desk. I couldn't believe it. A transparent figure of a little girl stood there looking in. The creepier part was that she stared, smiling and laughing. "Is that a ghost child?" I questioned. "Yes, she was murdered a long time ago in the house," my friend calmly answered. "That's sad and unsettling," I said. She turned the camera back to her. "Yeah, nothing we can do," my friend shrugged. She explained to me after the ghost girl, left that apparently she was brutally murdered by her father. Her father apparently cut her up and scattered her remains throughout the area around the house. Apparently she wanders around outside. That was the creepiest Skype chat I ever had. From her reaction, I don't think she was pranking me. So let's start this story. It's called True Ghost Story from X by Shama Writes. Hello all. Today I would like to share a true ghost story that a friend once told me. In fact, he told me quite a few stories since he was somehow prone to have paranormal things happen to him. Let's call him X since he wants to remain anonymous. He is in his early 20s just like me, so he can relate to a lot of things and will often discuss paranormal occurrences. X told me that one night he was riding home really late from a friend's house around 1 in the morning. Boy, he was playing video games and just hanging out with some buddies and didn't realize that it had gotten late. A friend offered to take him home, but he refused since he didn't live that far and could easily ride home on his bicycle in 20 minutes. He loved riding home through though because the open night air and always felt good on his face. He left his friend and said his goodbyes. He was 5 minutes in his journey on an isolated street with many trees and few street lights. He didn't mind the darkness since he has taken this path from his friend's house for many years. He realized that not only that it was really dark since a few street lights were off, but also it was unusually quiet. Unusually, one would hear owls or crickets, but he shrugged it off since it was late. But he figured every animal was asleep. He continued to ride his bike down the long winding road when he saw something in the distance. He figured it was his eyes playing tricks on him since it was really late. As he rode closer to the thing, he realized that it was a person standing on the side of the road staring into the trees. He saw the figure had long hair and he realized that it was a woman wearing torn clothing. He thought, she needs help, and stopped a few feet from her and yelled, "Hey, excuse me, are you alright?" He waited for her reply, or at least for her to turn around. She didn't acknowledge him and just stood there. He was confused and yelled louder, "Hello, are you okay?" Do you need help? She still didn't move or say anything. He decided to get off his bike and walk a little closer to check up on her. Boy, don't do it. He was only 2 feet from her when she started laughing hysterically. It freaked him out and he froze. She turned her head slightly and he saw her face. It was pale and otherworldly. She wasn't alive. He sensed it. His face shivered as if a cold breeze was blowing, but it was warm. At least it was warm before he saw her face. Had cuts in many places. She had no eyes, only black pits where her eyes once were. Her hair seemed wet and covered her face slightly. She finally said something. Come closer. Are you him? Was all she said, and he shivered again. He hopped on and started riding away, and he proceeded to turn all the way around, and he saw the rest of her. But he quickly turned his head and rode faster, and kept his head straight. I had asked him what he saw when she turned around, and he said that she was holding a fetus. He sensed that she wasn't alive, but she stood there as I waiting for someone. He said he rode straight home and locked the doors. He didn't sleep all night or a few nights after that. He never took that road again. And if you're wondering why he never saw her, even though he took the road for many years before, it was because he discovered that a woman was murdered a week before his encounter, and she was dumped into the forest next to the road. Since it was a forest area in the park, she was also 4 months pregnant at the time. The story always gives me shivers. What he told me happened a few nights after was also scary, since he could hear her saying, "Come closer. Are you him?" every night as a faint whisper at 1 a.m. Damn, that was a scary story. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video of me sharing some stories I found on Reddit that are creepy as hell. Hope you enjoy them. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you want a second part of this video, make sure you hit that like button. And I know I wasn't looking at the camera in this video because I was reading from the computer screen, and I freaked out over all these stories. So tomorrow I'm gonna be coming live for Halloween, so make sure you come to my channel and see, because I'm gonna be live for 5-6 hours. So hope you enjoy, guys.